you're there. Okwan wefweje, okwan wefweje, and you move mountains, and you cause walls to fall with your power. You perform miracles. There is nothing, no, that's impossible. And standing here only because you're there. Okwan wefweje, okwan wefweje, wubu wekwai to baby ya ekwanye. Oh, wupay ekwai to baby ya ekwanye. When there was no way, Lord, you made a way. When there was no way, oh Lord, you made a way. And we're standing here only because you made a way. You made a way. You made a way. Standing here, not knowing how we'll get through this test, but holding on to faith, you know that nothing can catch you by surprise. You've got this in control, and you're watching us now. And when it looks as if we can't win, you wrapped us in your arms and stepped in. And everything we need you supply. Your grace was strong enough to pick us up, and you made a way. When our backs were against the wall, and it looked as if it was over, you made a way. And we're standing here only because you're there. Okwan wefweje, okwan wefweje. So now we here, looking back from where we've come from, because of you and nothing we've done to deserve the love and mercy you've shown. Your grace was strong enough to pick us up, and you made a way. When our backs were against the wall, and it looked as if it was over, you made a way. And we're standing here only because you're there. Okwan wefweje, okwan wefweje. Ubu wekwai chubeli ya ekwanye. Yeah, upai kwai chubeli ya ekwanye. Oh, 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 upai kwai. baby, hey, hey, we'll pay a quite to baby, and you move mountains, and you cause walls to fall with your power. You perform miracles, and there is nothing that's impossible. And we're standing here only because you're the Aquan with you're the way making God. Hey, you make a way when there's no way. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and we're standing here only because you made a way.
Okay.
You made a way indeed. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you too. I think his voice is just amazing. I think his voice is just amazing. He is flawless in his singing.
Yes.
You know, and these are songs that, you know, a person can actually relate to. Last night I was at church, and then I'm feeling all sorts of spiritual emotions, and then, you know, I come to work on Monday morning and I'm hearing such super soul filling gospel. I'm
Today's
happy.
Friday.
Today's Friday, right?
You said Monday morning.
No, I said Monday.
Are you in a rush for it to be Monday?
I'm ahead of my time.
Are you looking forward to Monday
already? The last day
already?
of the week we get to spend with the viewers. So, you know, I mean, I hurry for Monday to start another 5-day stretch. So I'm very happy. Anyway, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I have to give a very special birthday shout outs to Mr. Samuel Atamensa. Happy birthday. We love you. We wish God grants you all of your heart desires, and it's a blessing for you to have another year and another day, and we wish you all the best in life.
Anyway, so of course, happy birthday from all of us.
Yes, everybody from City FM, City TV, the entire family.
Yes, happy birthday, Samuel Atamensa. So, this morning, I felt like cooking something nice for you.
Really?
Yeah, I seriously, I thought about
Where
it
is
for a
it?
minute. Huh?
Where is it?
No, you see, it's the thought that counts.
Ah, okay. I thought you said you felt like cooking something.
But I thought about it, and I think it's important you know that I care about you.
Thank you,
It's the thought that
thank
counts.
you. I appreciate it.
So you and I are even going to think of something good for me.
I always think of something good for you.
Yeah.
This morning,
Nice
for
face in the
example,
head.
I came in wearing a black dress, and then I saw you had on an African print shirt, so I decided to change so
that
that
was
we
nice.
match.
That was nice
You
of
know,
you.
so I put a lot of thought into
That was nice of you.
making sure that you're well taken care of.
And I'm going back into time. Since it is Ms. Samuel Atamensa's birthday, I want to go back into time. What did you do for me on my birthday?
Why are you making Samensa's birthday about you? You should actually be asking me what I would do for him.
Okay, what would you do for him on
What
his
would you
birthday?
do for him?
No, I'm doing a lot
When you
of
actually
things.
said back in time, I thought you were
No.
going to tell me the first time you
We're
met,
going-
how
we're
he
going shopping
impacted your
today.
life. You know, those are the
We're
kind of
going
things you
shopping
do on
today.
somebody's birthday.
No, we're going shopping today. I think I mean, a few months ago, I actually put on social media, Facebook, even before I came
City TV.
joined City TV. How he impacted my life. He has been awesome. I started radio very, I think level 200, University of
Wow.
Ghana. At a different radio station. It's a university-based radio station, Radio Universe. And then when I got to, and then after Radio Universe, I worked at one of the telcos for a while, and I realized this is not me. I can't see myself being this person. I missed being on radio.
Aww.
So I get a phone call from one of my cousins, Albert, and Albert says, Albert Finn says he's heard, he got wind that City FM are looking for people, and I'm like, okay. So I'm going to see whoever is at City FM. I put in an application, I get a phone call, and then at the interview, Jessica was there, Samantha was there, and the HR was there. So I'm staring at them. I had no idea. I was just confused. I was just talking. I was just answering as many questions as possible. And then a few days into the show, or into working at City, I was doing other administrative stuff. Working at City, some man says, this was many years ago, about 10 years ago. Some man says, you know what, I want you to do, it was a relationship talk show sort of thing. I want you to do this. And I'm like, okay, let me try. And it was my first time on a huge platform. You know, this was not a university type of radio station.
Where only your friends and
so this was a huge platform.
Listening.
And then Jessica did something. So the first time, with the evening shows, I had the technical people to help me with the equipment and everything. But then eventually I did the evening show for a while, for like 2 weeks. And then they called me again for another meeting. They're like, we want you to host Drive. Traffic Avenue was called Drive at the time. Yes, we want you to host Drive. Then they leave me alone with this huge console. The console it's so huge. Anyone who's come to City FM studios knows exactly what I'm talking about. So the console was so huge. And then I had no idea how to use it. And then Jessica leaves the room. Like, everybody leaves. So it was just left with me and Jessica. And Jessica was like, yeah, do them. And she was like, yeah, do them. And then she just leaves the room. So we are live on air. This is like the biggest show I'd ever hosted. And then there's a big console in front of me. And I had no idea what to do. And now the whole radio station was quiet. I don't know what sorts of trying to back. It was fantastic. That day I felt like crying.
You're kidding.
I'm telling you, I felt like crying. So eventually, you had to learn. And I love the fact that some of the time they trust in me. When I didn't even trust in myself, I didn't know I could make it this far. The constant advice and the encouragement. So there was a bit of a shift from wanting to do music from back in the day now to being a lawyer and everything. I think he played a huge role in the transition.
Wow.
And
wow. And
it's good.
I think the story is not just unique to you. I think I must have spoken to no less than 10 people here who echo the same thing. They're like, when I came here, I had no clue what I was doing. This man saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself, and he nurtured it. And even at times when I doubted myself, he was there. He gave me that support I needed. And I think that Samens is a living symbol of what it means to be a true leader, to see the potential in young people and to nurture it. So happy birthday, Samens. You've impacted the lives of people beyond just City FM and City TV, and we thank God for bringing you into our lives.
And I understand why he's an Arsenal fan, because he...
Really?
Samens has a way of identifying raw talent. Like,
really?
You're down in the dead.
But I think he's just a big ball of love, really. And he's a great dancer, actually.
Yes.
He has really great dance skills.
I should have brought one of the other video of him dancing. I should have brought
maybe we'll do it on Monday.
Maybe on Monday.
Bring all the embarrassing videos of Samens and share it with you guys.
And the previous Mother's Day, he was actually crying.
I
we should have added that video as well.
Martina told me about it. But on today's show, I think we're going to meet another great man who has a side to him that most people don't know about. He's the head of Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, Mr. Yofi Grant. He has a completely big artistic side to him that a lot of us don't know. So I'm excited to uncover that side of him.
Well, we are looking forward to that interview, definitely. And what else do we have for this morning? Remember that while we're going on, you can join us with the hashtag Breakfast Daily on all social media platforms. Breakfast Daily, or the WhatsApp line 0550-585-832, 0550-585-832. So we're still wishing Samolata Mensah a happy birthday.
Yes. Now, on yesterday's show, when I was talking to the, I'm blanking on their names, the Mesh Ghana team, they have an art event today and tomorrow at the National Theatre. I reflected on the number of talented individuals we have in this country. I mean, we have such great talent. I don't know if you know this guy called Ibrahim Mahama. Do you know him? Not Mahama's brother. The other well-known, globally known Ibrahim Mahama. He went to school at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and he uses jute to create all kinds of amazing art. And countries all over the world have actually just like flew him in to just cover their buildings with just jute. You know jute, right?
Yeah,
Jute,
I know jute.
the cocoa,
the
cocoa sack.
No, cocoa sack.
Yeah, the cocoa sack.
Material.
He uses it to make all kinds of brilliant things. So when I first heard of him, I was like, wow.
They call him to cover their buildings with jute.
Yeah, because like you can see an entire, and I think his last piece was just books. Like he used books to make this massive thing of an art piece. And I'm like, how do you know, and for him to, I mean, we know about all these Da Vinci's and all these guys, and we have our own artist who's just like phenomenal. So when I heard of his work, I thought like nobody could beat that. And then one day I'm on Facebook and I see a guy called Serge, and I'm like, okay, what does this guy do? And then I find out that he uses you know, the gallons, right? The yellow gallons that we use to
there's
fetch
a name
water.
for it. They call, I think, called Kufor gallons.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did they call it Kufor gallons?
Unfortunately, during his administration, there was a bit of a serious water shortage. So many people would carry the gallons to various places, but eventually it was solved. So,
so you know, people litter the gallons all over the place when they have no use for them. So Serge figured out how to, you know, use the gallons for something else, like recycle the gallons for something else. So he makes faces out of the gallons.
Make faces?
He can actually like create like a whole
I don't want my face to be made out of a gallon.
No, he doesn't make your face. It's just that he cuts, when you cut the top part of the gallon where you hold, it actually looks like the nose, and then the part where you open also looks like the
eye or a mouth?
The mouth, right? And then I don't know how he does it.
Where does the eye come in?
You just see
an eyeless person. He just likes making eyeless people.
It's just weird. And he featured his art at Gallery 1957 or Gallery 57, one of those two, at Kempinski last year. You know, and what was it? Earlier this week, he posted something on Instagram, and he's at Facebook. Just showcasing these gallons that he's created. So this picture here is one of the things from Ibrahim Muhammad, the first one with the jute on the building. I don't know if you saw it, but this is his work. So he's covered the entire place with jute. You know, and jute is something that once we finish the cocoa, we just throw it away and just pollute the environment with
why
this.
Why did you cover the whole place with jute?
Oh, it's just art. It's artistic, right? And this is Mo. This one is by Mo, who is another brilliant artist. And
is
so
it like
in
graffiti
light of,
or is it a regular painting? This is really nice.
This is Mo does all sorts of awesome
he does graffiti
things.
as well.
Graffiti, yeah, he's known for his graffiti actually.
People are doing really well in Ghana.
Mo Awudu, very talented.
Is this Nkrumah wearing a? Nah,
I don't think that is Nkrumah. But we have so much talent in this country, and like Paul said yesterday, Paul, the founder of RPC, he says if you're not in certain circles, you won't even know that these guys exist.
Yeah,
but these are people that foreigners invite into their country. This is Sturge's work. That's all gallons.
Oh, wow.
He cuts it up into pieces and stick them together. I mean, can you imagine the number of hours it takes to turn just gallons into, and that's Ibrahim Muhammad's work. Like, can you see that the entire city, the entire city is covered with jute?
There's so much work. So who's going to wash them?
What do you mean?
So much work. No, if it gets dusty, well,
no. So that's not the thinking when it comes to art.
This is a huge building.
Yes,
this is a really huge building.
Yeah,
all covered with jute.
Yeah. So like these guys are just super brilliant, and that's our national theater.
This happened at the national
theater. And so we just have a wealth of talent in this country.
I wonder how much he was paid for this. If he was paid.
Oh, no. These guys are paid well, right? So I think there's this perception that every creative is broke or people don't pay them. But they do pay them well, especially, you know, when they go outside Ghana, which is the other issue too.
Well.
Oh, yeah. They do.
Because it should move from a hobby to something.
These guys don't treat this as a hobby at all, actually, Wilberforce. This is their life's work. They spend every waking moment of their life doing this, nice. Right? So it's not.
This has to be a human being, not a painting.
This is Serge, actually.
Oh, this is him.
Yes,
so
I think this
himself.
Is Serge. Yes. Hey, that's Bernard Akwe Jackson.
Bernard Akwe Jackson.
He looks like Serge from afar.
That's his art piece. Him.
Wow.
I'm sorry. What's this?
Like, can you see that? Like, he's a man of art. on its own. And this is Netherlands. And I don't know if you remember the speaker from yesterday.
Is she wearing a skirt?
Well, it's all part of the art.
My eyes are not really good.
No, it's not a skirt. It's like an art piece.
Okay.
And he's in the middle of water.
Oh. So it's like different fabrics, speaking of Ghanaian history, I'm told.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you see all the flowers around him.
And I see the water.
Yeah. Like a man on water.
You know, I'm just reminded of like fashion shows. When you go to fashion shows, I wonder where some of the clothes, where exactly you can wear them to.
No, but this is art, so this isn't a fashion show. This is just creativity. That's the gallon. You see the gallon on his face?
There's a gallon on his face.
So as soon as you see Serge's work, you know that is Serge's piece. Because he's known for the gallon, just like Ibrahim Muhammad is known for the jute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So these are all gallons on the beach. Yes.
But
so
it
that's
makes
the
gallons look not like gallons. Oh,
exactly.
wow. So it's like gallon-faced people.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and these are guys that are succeeding. They are putting Ghana on the map despite all the issues we have in this country. And they're actually promoting our tourism.
Did they actually pour sand in a person's hair? Or, oh, is it a... Wow. I thought it was real.
And
actually, it's
this is a sculpture.
Wow.
And this artist, actually, I need to talk about him because there's a slave museum of some sort in the US,
well.
And he actually contributed to all the pieces that they have there. It's a project that they're doing, right? And it's just massive on our history and slavery and the impact of slavery, because I think most people don't really see how the magnitude of slavery. So he actually sculpts all these things to let you see, you know, the heads of the different slaves. You know, every face is different. It's not the same face.
Yeah. People suffered. People suffered. You know, while we are talking about slavery, I should mention it now that if you're a Ghanaian watching us, there's absolutely no reason for you to maybe you want to walk out of the country to. Going through Libya to Europe has been known worldwide as the most dangerous route. And the Foreign Affairs Minister was saying that, you know what, we don't even know the exact number of Ghanaians living in Libya, for instance, right now. We are fully aware by the IOM report that people are being sold as slaves in Libya. So we don't even know the exact numbers because of, you know, local militia and the like. So bottom line is that people, and sadly, there are even some Ghanaians still in Libya who are, according to the foreign minister, who are still in Libya, and they're trying to renew their passports and their stays in Libya and the likes. It makes me sad. How bad can Ghana be that you're in a place where people are being sold as slaves, and then you still prefer to be there to renew your passport and the likes, instead of maybe trying to stay home and make a life for yourself and for your family? It's sad.
Yeah, but I should mention that the last artist is Kwame Akoto Banfo, the one that sculpts
the slaves, the images of the sculpture,
the sculpture of slaves, and he's been celebrated everywhere. You know, so this just goes to show, like, every time we talk about people even leaving the country, I don't necessarily think that it's the people, right? Because clearly we have the talent. Right, but you'll be surprised that you will walk into a room full of elites, and most of them don't even know who these guys are. Right, so if we're not taking advantage of them, other people will. Right, and when the younger generations are looking at that, they will say, "Oh, the only way to succeed in art is perhaps to also gain this global attention." Right, but we need to celebrate them locally, and that's why I'm very proud of people like Mo Awuda, who Mo Awudu. He's like a proper Nima boy, very humble, extremely friendly. You just need to give him a blank wall, and he will just create magic.
Wow.
Out of it. Like Mo Awudu is just like out of the world, and he does things with like Nkrumah. You know, he will do all these really brilliant historical people. And he even, I think 2 years ago, he painted Nima. Like when he sees a house that's not painted, he will just create art out of it, right? So that children will see possibilities. Yeah.
Interesting. I think in defense of our people, it's true we would want to celebrate these people, but to actually put money into them becomes a bit of a difficulty. We are in a country where we are hearing that taxes are going to be increased. Taxes are going to increase to about 21%, from 17 to about 21%. So now things are a bit difficult. Okay, so cost, of course, prices of goods and services will go up. So now our budget, and this would likely come at a time where salaries are not increased. Even if salaries are increased, salaries will be increased for the public sector workers. So the private sector worker who is also faced indirectly and directly with these tax increases will not have ability to, meet demands. Now for him to also go ahead, now he's paying other bills. NHIS is failing, more or less, arguably, of course. But then he's paying all these other things for himself to live, not to even, to survive, not to even live. And now to invest in art, he may want to, he would love the image. But then to take out extra money to do this will become a bit of a challenge. So in defense of us not supporting the arts, sometimes it has to do with the financial. When you're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the basic things that you have to look at, of course, are the physiological needs. Then all the way up there, you're looking at the aesthetic need, where a person has fully beyond self-actualization. Now you're looking at aesthetics. You have filled your pockets. You have your basic needs satisfied. You have your other needs satisfied, and now you have filled your pockets. It's now time to relax and now enjoy the arts. Now, globally, there are many people who have already reached this level. But locally, how many people are working even below the minimum wage? How many people can actually appreciate this art that you're doing? No doubt about it. The art you're doing is beautiful. It's fine. We agree 100%. I love it. If I had my own way, a lot of money would be pushed into this. I would want to personally push money into this. But then you have to reach a certain level before you fully appreciate this. Look, if you have too much trouble on your mind, how will a hungry person appreciate such a beautiful piece of art?
The good thing about these artists is they are not saying, buy my work. That's not it. And when you look at people like Serge, you can actually go to Labadi and view his work for free. He literally keeps it out there for the people of his community to appreciate. Right? So we need to get beyond the level of using poverty as an excuse. This same country, people are driving Range Rovers, right? People are driving Range Rovers, people are driving Bentleys, people are driving Rolls Royce. If you can do that, if people literally go abroad and they buy artwork and they hang it up in their rooms. So the whole thing about the average Joe not being able to afford art is true. It's not just unique to Ghana, it's unique everywhere. It's when you have disposable income that you purchase. It's like saying how many people buy Sarkodie's album, right? But we all know who Sarkodie is. We all appreciate him. And because of that, he's able to do concerts. And maybe once a year, we can all attend his concert. So sometimes they even do showrooms at Alliance Francaise where they say, just come and see my work. You don't have to pay me a dime. But let's celebrate our local talent. So every time we talk about local talents, I don't want us to always focus on money, right? Because it's not always about money. Some of the most famous artists, their work didn't gain the fame it did until centuries after they died. Right? So your entire life should not only be about money. It should be about the purpose you want to live and the impact you want to live. And sometimes that impact is felt long after you're gone.
I mean, to the extent that, you know what, because these people, you did say earlier that they're taking this full time, not like a hobby or something they do on the side. So in a way, they would have to eat.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
And people pay for their work. Like these are not. I don't want us to think artists are broke. They are businessmen. They need to sustain themselves. So if you ask Mo to come to your office, he's done work with Samsung. They've worked with really big brands, right? Just to show people that what's possible. So maybe 10 years ago, Ghanaians didn't appreciate their work and artists were broke, but they're a living testimony of the opportunities within that space, that Facebook can ask you to come here, some other company will tell you to go here and actually pay you what you're worth, right? So a piece of Serge's work could go anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000. And there are people out. I think George Clooney actually bought one of his pieces.
Wow!
So it's not; these are not small boys. We might see them in Ghana and think
the people,
we don't appreciate them, but they are big.
Yeah. So the people you are mentioning are actually global, you know, financiers or global people who are. I mean, George Clooney clearly.
And there's nothing wrong with despite buying a piece. Or any other, you know, any other local person. We shouldn't always wait. Once I say Clooney, then whoa, now it validates him. So let me now go buy it. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be foreigners validating us. But then how many despites are out there?
How many Osei Kwame despites do we have in Ghana?
I don't want to make this about them. Let's celebrate our local talent. Let's make it about the artist.
I'm just saying
let's
that
be, at least you know 3 now, right? You know Ibrahim Mahama, you know Serge, you know Mo. It's just knowing them and you know, sharing their work with the world. News review continues. You guys should let us know if you already knew these artists before we talked about them today, and what you think about our current creative space. The hashtag is Breakfast Daily, and the WhatsApp line is
0550-585-832.
Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The 2018 World Cup in Russia is here, and City TV is the best place to get your fix of all things World Cup. Tune in to World Cup Daily for all the latest news, reviews, and analysis as the 32 qualified teams fight for the biggest prize in world football.
They are a bit too flamboyant, and that's where the Belgians will take advantage of. Belgium also have the fresh legs. They've rested their big guys in the game against England. So the likes of De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku, they are all returning into this game fresh. And they look like a team on a mission. They look like a different team.
It's World Cup Daily, live every weekday from 1 to 2 p.m. on City TV.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on City TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Sela Madonu on City TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on City TV and City 97.3 FM.
Okay, welcome back to Breakfast Daily. Now it's time for the news review segment for today. And before we introduce our guest, we'll take a look at some of the stories making the headlines.
Yes, starting with the Daily Graphic. Institute corporate governance structure for organizations. That is coming from Dogbega, and it's on page 45. Take over GFA assets. High Court orders Registrar General. The story is on page 3. J.H. Mensah passes on. The story is on page 16 of the Daily Graphic. We're still mourning this great man and mourning this great loss to the nation. We'll be learning more about him throughout the show. MOU on Kumasi Northern Sector Rail Line signed. That's on page 36 of the Daily Graphic. And finally, President inaugurates Special Prosecutor Board. That story is on page 16.
Well, the Ghanaian Times this morning is saying President, Parliament paid tribute to J.H. Mensah over 600 the full story of that is on page 17, and also on page 25, over 600 BXC workers face a job loss. President inaugurates 9-member board of OSP, that's the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And finally, efforts to dissolve Ghana Football Association. Court appoints liquidator for GFA. Mandates registrar of companies to take control of assets.
In the new crusading guide, we have President fires up Special Prosecutor. Urges newly sworn-in board to fight, eliminate corruption from public spaces. That story is on pages 3 and 10. Increasing NHIS funds key to national development, says Chief Imam. And NPP mourns J.H. Mensah, directs party flags to fly at half-mast.
Okay, the Daily Statesman this morning is saying Ghana NPP celebrates J.H. Mensah, and also VAT may go up from 17.5% to 21.5%. That's like 4% whopping increase. Now, Ghana on course under NPP. President Liman's brother praises fantastic efforts. So that's what we have this morning on the front page of the Daily Statesman.
Okay, on to the Finder. NHIS broke. CEO seeks oil cash, increase in VAT, taxes to save the scheme. Current $25 per subscriber needs to go up to $100. Office of Special Prosecutor will be resourced. That's coming from the President, and that story is on page 8. Raise minimum capital for insurers to 45 million Ghana cedis. That story is on page 10. Veteran politician J.H. Mensah has passed on. That story is on page 5. And finally, NEIP disbursement funds, disbursement to start this month. That is coming from Dr. Awal, who's the Minister of Business Development.
Well, J.H. Mensah was Ghana's best economist. Balmia, the full story of that is on page 2 this morning of The Independent, as well as ECG's 900 million Ghana cedis indebtedness, crippling operations of Gridco. Is according to the CEO, and the full story of that as well is on page 2 this morning of The Independent.
In the Herald, Togbe Afede demands apology from Freddie Blay from NPP for insulting him. And Speaker selling Parliament land for hotel. That story is on pages 3, 4, and 5. And I think onto the
Business and Financial Times. New national airline imminent. This is coming from the sector minister. Also, demand for loans on the rise, but supply remains a major challenge. Well, anyway. Upstream investment to increase by $20 billion. And finally, Awal announces National Entrepreneurial Fund. So, according to him, they should start this month.
That's great news. On to the Gold Street business. Trade fair to promote made in Ghana products at the 2018 grand sales. That's on page 2. Finance Minister presents mid-year budget next week. Page 4, and corporate governance needs serious attention. That story is on page 13. Microfinance players seek 2 years extension in minimum capital requirement. That story is on page 8. Only 30% of Ghanaians have insurance cover. That story is on page 4. And finally, new ship-to-ship bunker zones to guard against piracy. That is coming from the Energy Minister. Industry players to pay more bills for sulfur cap implementation. And that story is on page 2.
Well, the weekend today says cop snatches MPP man's wife. Well, not very important. And the court names liquidator for GFA. And finally, bridal makeup. And there's also another little story here. J.H. Mensah passes on. May his soul rest in perfect peace. So that's what we have. Do you have another one?
No.
Okay, we've already done the mirror. Okay, so now we'll go straight to introducing our guest for this morning. We have been joined by Godwin Edudzie Tamakloe. He's a private legal practitioner and also a member of the NDC. Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning.
Okay.
Let me use this opportunity quickly to say that today happens to be my first time coming to this studio. I'm quite impressed at what the whole CTFM, setup is doing. Like somebody said, you either innovate or you die. And I can see that CTFM had moved to a different level altogether. That's a good job. All the people behind this setup, congratulations.
Okay. Now, we will start off with a story. Before we move on, I must say that we were expecting PPP's Director of Communications, Nana Ofori Owusu. Nana Ofori Owusu is on his way, so he'll be joining us shortly. But in the meantime, we would look at the story about VAT going up, or the fact that VAT may go up from 17.5% to 21.5%. So, according to, I'm reading from page 2 of the Daily Statesman this morning, says information available to the Daily Statesman suggests that the value-added tax may go up to 21% from the 17.5%. But at the time of going to the press yesterday, the Minister of Finance was confronted with a tough challenge at a cabinet meeting in his attempt to get this through, because President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo reportedly was not for the hike. So I'll jump straight to you on this particular story about the fact that VAT may go up, and we know that this has also been a call from the NHI as well, saying that, you know what, we literally do not have money in NHI's coffers, more or less. So
yeah, I find this whole idea, and obviously coming from the New Statesman, more or less the unofficial government newspaper, one can say the government is just flying a kite, just telling us what exactly to expect in the media review of the budget. What I find a bit curious is that today our Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, will be advocating for an increase in taxes in any form whatsoever. If you recall the numerous press conferences and lectures organized by Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, His Excellency, the Vice President today, it has always been the criticism of the then administration. If you recall, the NPP 2016 manifesto had it broadly that they are moving the economy, or they will be moving the economy, from taxation to production. So the expectation is that, having been given the mandate to rule this republic, the focus will be on increasing production. So that the idea is that once you aid businesses to increase their production, from that there will be increased revenue. From that revenue, even if taxes remain at the same level, by increasing revenue, you can still get your taxes to do whatever you want to do. Now, what is becoming obvious is that within 18 months of the Nana Addo Bawumia administration, what we are beginning to see is, one, a renege on the campaign promise, that social contract that the NPP had with the good people of this country, That culminated in that 53% vote they had in the last election. The NPP is running away from that campaign promise because there is a certain reality check that this government is faced with now. And that reality is this. You see, when you roll out manifesto promises like free SHS in a manner without any policy document, without any well thought out plan, you are faced with a situation where you will notice that free SHS, the cost, is recurrent expenditure. So every year you need to raise a certain amount of money to meet that, because every year you pay school fees. So if you're absorbing those fees, it means that you must have money to pay that amount. If you recall, before the campaign, the election, Bamia's words was, you know what, when we come, we're going to make available $4 million, $1 million each year for the 4 years, for 275 constituencies. The money, we were told, was there. In fact, that was what Nanado used to say. Yetisikaso eni ebre. Yetisikaso ene kom edien. So the whole idea is that we had the money. We are sitting on the money. That it was the Mahama administration that was not able to manage the economy. And that with the so-called competent men, they were going to turn things around. Now we are going back to the same narrative, where today government is having to, as it were, increase value advertising. I'm even surprised that an MPP administration will even talk about increase in value advertising. May we never forget our history. When the Jerry Rawlings administration felt that there was the need to increase or to even introduce value advertising, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, now president, led the infamous Kumi Preku demonstration, resulted in the death of 2 young men. What was the essence? Because on principle, Nana Addo never believed in this whole idea of value-added taxation. Today, but that singular visionary leadership taken by Jerry Rawlings, we have national health insurance anchored on value-added taxation. We have the Ghana Infrastructure Fund anchored on value-added taxation. We have the Ghana Education Trust Fund, GET Fund, anchored on value-added taxation. Today we are being told that we should expect almost 4% increase in value-added taxation under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So you see, time, I always say, is never the best friend of any man. Because what you oppose tomorrow may become your life-saving tool today. And so this government clearly, out of their own incompetence, they are beginning to appreciate a certain reality when it comes to governance, that you need taxes all over the world, in the US, in the UK, all over. And regrettably, they take taxes from their people and give it to us as grants. And sometimes we do not use it judicially, the manner in which you expect. We have come back to the point where today, Mr. Kenneth Ofori-Atta and his MPP, the so-called competent team, will now have to justify to the good people of Ghana why it was bad in the past to increase taxes, so-called nuisance taxes. And today, what will be the justification? We were told that when the MPP administration, or once we give them the mandate, they are going to mobilize judgment debts, take money from Woyome, and use that money to increase infrastructure, pay for everything that government needed. So where is the money? Why are they not using the judgment, the so-called judgment debt, to do all of this thing? Because there is a certain reality with government. You cannot continue to deceive the people. Look, I recall having a meeting with the then Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Victor Bampo, and I asked him, Doc, we do know that NHIS, and if you look at the structure, the cost of medicine is increasing every day. Meanwhile, we are still looking at that 2.5% coming from value-added taxation as the principal source of funding. In fact, it constitutes about 83% funding. However, medicine prices are going up. The cost of maintaining the scheme itself is increasing every day. Human resource, every other thing. However, the number of outpatient utilization relative to the scheme has shot up from the time when it was a mutual district health insurance to a national health insurance under the NDC. And therefore, there was the need to critically respond to the finance challenges. What President Mahama did was to put up a committee together. Among the recommendations from the committee was the fact that we need to really look at the funding sources, how to diversify the funding sources. And that is what we are beginning to see. That this government in the past made it look like it was the incompetence of the previous administration that resulted in the challenges that NHIS is facing. Do you know, my brother, and I want your staffs or reporters to visit the various district offices of NHIS and ask them, how many more cards have they been able to issue from January 7th, 2017 to date? They are not. When you go, they'll tell you they don't have ribbon, they don't have this, they don't have this. It's a whole mess. We have come to that irresistible conclusion that it is not a question of incompetence, but there are real structural challenges with the scheme that ought to be resolved.
So are you then saying that
yes,
the increment would have been something the NDC would have done anyway?
We have always believed that there is a certain critical response that you need to give once there are challenges. And it calls for mobilizing all of our people to that critical cause. So that if there is the need to say you need 1% increase in a certain tax, you should be able to explain it to the people and say, this is the reason why we want to do that. Let me give you a critical example. When we saw the challenges within the energy subsector and felt that, look, these challenges, they go beyond. They are what you call legacy debts for several administrations. But there was the need to resolve the problem. So then President with Setekwe met and said, look, the banks were already having problems because, they take LCs from the banks and they are not paying. So the whole idea was to come with the energy sector levies. You recall? In 2015, when the then NDC around December went to Parliament to have, the MPP minority then said, look, these were nuisance taxes and that there was no justifiable basis for them. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo mounted a campaign platform, hauled all kinds of insinuations against the administration there, and promised that with the benefit of power, they were going to scrap those energy sector levies. My brother, as we speak today, the government, beyond keeping the energy sector levies, had gone ahead to borrow, using it as collateral, $10 billion Ghana cedis, using the energy sector levies as collateral. And that we're going to pay in the next 10 years, something that was just going to last for only 5 years, because we needed to free the various banks from the debts accumulated over the years within the energy sector. And that is why today you can have stable power, because Gridco, ECG, VRA, they can, on the basis of the receivables, pay their debt either to Nigeria Gas and Gas or any of those, energy companies. So that is what you do. So we believe that where there is the need, you should be able to respond by way of taxation. We have never run. It's the NPP that said that they are going to move the economy from taxation to production. What is happening?
Okay, so you do agree that this is not unique to NPP. We have an internally generated revenue issue.
Have to.
So both political parties would have addressed it the same exact way.
Absolutely. What we are saying, that on principle, the NPP is coming back to the view that we have always taken, what they called techonomics. You understand? Today, Bawumia has come to that irresistible conclusion that you cannot move, theoretically, the economy from taxation to production, holding taxation constant. It doesn't work anywhere. You need to have a critical balance between production and taxation. They go
hand in hand. If you're saying we shouldn't hold taxation constant because, you cannot move from taxation to production
Yeah.
without...
It's not a leap of faith.
Would have to go on, then it means in the next couple of decades or so, the VAT would reach 100%.
It may not. It may not. Because if you are saying that from the first inception in 1996, it was stopped, later brought in. If you look at the rate when it started and where we've gotten, that's over 20 years. And this is the level. We are still managing around 20.
As an ordinary citizen,
yes,
I find it unacceptable.
Absolutely, I agree.
That taxation should be the main or only solution to some of our problems. Shouldn't government find other ways?
I do not want you to fall into the Baumia trap, where, for instance, you make the point that borrowing is a lazy man's way of managing an economy. Now, with the benefit of leadership, you realize that you need to borrow to meet your critical needs. Almighty United States of America still owes China over $1 trillion. That constitutes about almost 10 or 1/6 of the United States' total public debt. The U.S. today is borrowing to meet critical infrastructure needs. What we have said, and what Setekwe has always maintained, and it has always been the clarion call of President Mahama, that look, if we are borrowing, we need to borrow and do what can repay. So, for instance, if we borrow and build the University of Ghana Medical Hospital, what we have now locked out,
it's opening in
at least as we speak, it's locked up. Yeah. What is critical is that if you borrow and you build that infrastructure, it can repay even if within 30 years. Because Osajifo has demonstrated that model. The Tema-Accra motorway was built with borrowed funds. Once you put a toll booth there, you can raise money to repay for the cost. So it's been over 50 years, and nothing has happened to that motorway. The Akosombo Dam, can you imagine? Ghana without the Akosombo Dam. It is borrowed funds.
So beyond borrowed funds and VAT, for example, why have we struggled to increase production? I mean, we know that you need to produce. From the early days of Nkrumah's time, we talked about industrialization and producing and tapping into the agriculture sector. You rightfully mentioned the U.S. China imports a lot from the agric sector in the U.S. So why have we failed to develop these sectors?
I recall my second year at the University of Ghana, the Department of Economics. One of our course, Economy of Ghana. And if you look at the narratives, one of the issues that Nkrumah for coming out with the whole business of industrialization was to drive a certain import-driven economy. Sorry, economy that exports. Now, the whole idea was if you have your jute factory, you have this factory, meat processing and others, every year, the amount of rice imported into the economy is over $600 million. So that the whole idea is if you are able to produce this same amount of rice in the economy, then you are increasing, at least even if it's by half, $300 million saved in the economy would help. But we know that there are critical structural issues with our economy, even from our own taste and preference. Look, if you go to the market right now, and you should find rice from Aveyime or Sablugu or any other place, and you have rice from Thailand or Vietnam, your preference will be to go for the rice from Vietnam. Once you do that, you are creating jobs in Vietnam. You are increasing tax revenue in Vietnam. You are increasing production in Vietnam. That's what we have had. So beyond having a certain conversation around this, increasing our own production, we also need to change our preferences. Do you know that there was a time in this country that we were assembling even cars? We are assembling cars here. What happened?
But why is it that every government comes to power and we've not been able to address this production issue? We know what the problems are. We know Ghanaians have a taste for sophisticated imported goods. But we also know that we can produce these things locally.
I agree. You see, I recall when the whole idea came with one district, one factory. The idea was, look, if we are able to industrialize from the district level, it creates a certain synergy that goes up eventually to increase everything that we want to do. It's been a year and 6 months. What has been the response from the one district, one factory? Because you see, the businessman, and let me say CTFM, let me use you as an example, putting up this infrastructure, you may have to go to the banks to go borrow to do this. At what interest rates? So encouraging a private initiative in itself comes with a lot of lags. It is not a one-way thing. It comes with a lot of lags. So the policy may come today. The effect may be in 3 years' time. So there has been a consistent, desire by all administrations to at least increase internal production of goods and services. But they always come with certain structural challenges. I believe that we only need to be consistent. Get the banks, get everybody on board, and we'll get to where we are. Today, CTFM has been able to do this. Tomorrow, what it means is that if you encourage another company, but there's this difficulty. After every 4 years, even entrepreneurs, we tend to even destroy them. That's not good enough. You understand? That's not good enough. Because if we believe that the private sector can actually be the engine of growth, then we should not have that vicious cycle that after every 4 years we tend to destroy other businesses.
Okay. Well, in New Zealand in the 80s, they're also having issues with increasing taxation. They decided they're not going to increase taxation. They're going to move to a more revenue generate. The government companies would now focus on revenue generation. So beyond increasing the tax net or widening the tax net and the likes, they decide to focus on these government companies generating revenue. Now we should also be looking at, how we are not going to find monies getting into private pockets. Corruption is very important. We need to fight corruption. We need to find ways of, for instance, the toll booth, for instance. We should make good use of it. The people who man it, how monies are not going to go into their pockets. We should be focusing on those things instead of, for instance, jumping straight. Even when it comes to crime, we should probably reduce incarceration and focus on fines. These are all ways to generate funds.
Maybe the New Zealand example that you just cited. Look at how much New Zealand makes from dairy or dairy products. Huge. What are we doing in that sector? Why do we still have to go to, say, Burkina Faso to bring cattle and all of those things in here? Look, there is a perennial problem of our people fighting Fulani herdsmen every year. Now, when you go to Argentina, I should think they have more cattle than the number of people in Ghana. But do you know here that the people manning those cattle ranches and others are having problem with one tribe or the other? That's leadership. How have they been able to manage? And they make so much money, one from beef, the milk, everything from one industry, hide everything. From just one industry. Why can't we do it to the extent that today having or rearing cattle has become an issue of national security instead of something that will generate revenue for us?
Thank you very much.
Last question. Would you agree with the session that if the president scraps free SHS, there will be no need for an increment of that?
I do not think so.
Okay. I think
just so that what I think is that, and that has always been my belief, if Edugie can pay for the education of the world, let Edugie have the opportunity to pay for the education of the world. Now, those who are unable, the needy, brilliant people, let government intervene. That's why it becomes a social intervention, because you know that all the fingers are not the same. A bank manager who is well paid is having government to absorb the cost of the child's education.
Okay.
When Kwejo quotes the Panwan Tapa, is having the same thing. Let there be what you call cross-subsidization. Kwejo, the banker, should be able to pay. So that you cross-subsidize for the education of... This whole idea of PSHS was not well thought out. And I make this point again. In the wisdom of the framers of the 1992 Constitution, who even envisaged that there will be a day that will have free education, felt in their own wisdom to do it in a more graduated manner. At least we have all seen that who would want to start a free SHS without first having the needed infrastructure. Look, the secondary school you attended.
No, I think we will have to move on to another topic.
One of these days,
no,
take a tour to your secondary school and find out the number of kids who are
Godwin
there. And how
Edudzie
they are
Tamakloe.
suffering.
News review still continues. We want to keep it interactive, so send us your comments with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550 585 832. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Spend 30 minutes every weekday catching up with all the trending social media conversations of the day. If you tweet it, we'll read it. We might just even Skype you.
Just, no matter your situation, you can rise to the top.
Absolutely.
You really
and
can.
It's interesting that he wrote this article on the 17th of June, and on the 18th of June, yesterday, he actually scored 2 goals in the Belgium World Cup meet.
30 minutes is all it takes, so use the hashtag 30minutes on social media to catch our attention. Join the most interactive social media TV show weekdays at 5 p.m. only on City TV.
Wherever the weekend sporting action happened, we will bring it to you here on Scorecard. Every goal, every dunk, every punch, the winning strides, and the winning volleys.
Come international media, he said, look, wait, sit and wait. Let me have a meal with my people. And I think that's the same cool, it's the same organization he brings to the field every time I've seen him play. He looks to me like somebody who has played over 50 caps already. Okay. But this guy has barely played over 25 caps for the national team.
All of the weekend's action in one place. Scorecard. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. prompt on City TV.
Hey family, my name is Joe Metal and you're watching Breakfast Daily on City TV. Keep watching, don't go nowhere.
Yes, welcome back. It's still Breakfast Daily. Now we are still joined by Godwin Edudzie Tamakloe. He's a private legal practitioner and also a member of the NDC. Now Nana Ofori-Owusu, the director of communications for PPP, we are still expecting him, but if he makes it on time, well, then he will join us. In the meantime, another story on our website, citynewsroom.com, says we'll investigate serious cases, not hearsay. This is coming from the Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu. And the story reads, the Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu says his office will only prosecute serious cases of alleged corruption due to the limited resources available to his office. Now, in this particular report, he goes on to talk about the fact that, you know what, we won't just investigate any petition. The petitioner would have to have first-hand knowledge of the alleged corruption. And also, it has to be serious cases of corruption. When it's not so serious, there will be some form of preparation, as in, pay back the monies and then we move on. But then when it has to do with serious cases, those are the only times I'll come in, based on the limited resources. I want to know what your opinion is of this, based on all the noise, more or less, we made about the Special Prosecutor's Office.
I have consistently indicated that office was a very needless office and was just for campaign rhetorics. With the benefit of time, I'm getting vindicated. Look, we have the Economic and Organized Crime Unit, that office. The act establishing the office, if you do a comparison between that act and the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act, the functions are almost the same. And that is why if you look at the governing board of the Office of Special Prosecutor, there is a rep from EOCO there. Today, as we speak, investigations to be done by the Office of Special Prosecutor are being done by YOCO. As a private legal practitioner, I'm aware where letterheads are written on, you have letters written on the letterhead of the Office of Special Prosecutor, but the investigation is being done by YOCO. So what was the need for that office? Showmanship, nothing more. And look, if you look at the EOCO Act, it even makes it even more mandatory to investigate serious financial crimes against the Republic. It's the same thing. The prosecutions that are going on today under this administration were investigations conducted by EOCO or the BNI and not the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So what is so unique about that office that we need to waste man hours, waste everybody's time talking about people's ego? That whole office was just to prop up the ego of Mr. Martin Amidu. I've always maintained that Mr. Martin Amidu was the Attorney General of the Republic with the full powers of the office of an Attorney General. Today, a small part of the powers of the AG had been ceded to him. Which one is better? The full office of the AG. If Nanado believes that Martin Amidu will be a better fighter of corruption, he should remove Madam Gloria Kufu and make Martin Amidu the Attorney General with the full powers under Article 88. Today, Martin is telling us that even finance, funding, he is now going to determine which one is serious corruption and which one is not. Hallelujah. So some crime can be allowed to pass. Only serious ones that he would have focused on. Because of what? Lack of funds. I was thinking, with the much touting done by this administration, with the pomp and pageantry that they actually heralded this whole Office of Special Prosecutor, there should not be any issue about lack of funds. They should have all the funding needs so that they can do their work. By the way, I'm aware of a story done or a report done by CTFM as to where the office itself is. A government that claims in February when this office was put up, by now, should show a certain commitment. But you know what? This particular administration itself is embroiled in corruption. Everything that is being done under this administration is corruption. And so why would you empower an anti-corruption agency to fight something that you yourself, you are involved?
Well, these are all allegations.
It is not. It is not. In fact, today as we speak, there's evidence on record that the last MD of BOSS engaged in clear breaches of the Public Procurement Act. Look, why was Charlotte Osei removed? Was it not on violation of the breaches of the Public Procurement Act? We do know that the Act mandates that before you can sell any asset, be it obsolete or whatever, you need to do it through public tender, public auction. Moving Pina and others were given the 5 million contaminated fuel on the basis of expression of interest. Mr. Alfred Obin, on a piece of paper, just wrote, deliver 5 million contaminated fuel to Moving Pina. It never went through public auction, public tender, nothing whatsoever. Let them show one newspaper where it was reported that there are this obsolete item for public auction. There is none. It was sold. That's evidence of violation of the Public Procurement Act, because Section 83, 84 of the Act requires that you sell it through public tender or public auction. That was not done. What is Martin Amidu doing? Is that also a less serious?
Just like with the SHRAJ, the Laws Governing SHRAJ, based on the Richard Anani case, interested party, ex-party SHRAJ, Richard Anani interested party, there has to be a complainant.
No.
With the,
you see, no. The powers under the EOCO, and if you look at the Act, on its own accord, it can start investigation.
That's the powers under EOCO. But
no,
with the special prosecutor.
I mean the special prosecutor.
It can swarm to investigate without any petitioner.
On its own accord. What the Act does is that it envisages a situation where a private citizen would want to come out with petitions. So it's just one of the means of triggering the powers, the investigative powers of it. The Act is clear. On the person's own accord, on the basis of having reasonable suspicion of the commission of a crime, the office has the power on its own to start an investigation. So let nobody say or draw parallel, even with the investigative powers of SHRAJ. It lies not. What we should be clear in our minds is that 18 months under the rule of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, EOCO has done a lot of investigation relative to commissions of financial crime in this country. And in fact, the Attorney General today, as we speak, is in court prosecuting on the basis of the work done by no less a person, by EOCO. So what was the need for this office to just saddle the taxpayer with money? And the excuse from Martin Amidu, with the greatest respect to him, he should not tell us that. He should not. That he's not going to prosecute on the basis of what? Rumor. He himself, when he appeared before the Appointment Committee of Parliament, said the allegations that he made against the Mahama administration were based on what? Perception. How dare him today? He should be bowing his head in shame. I'm so disappointed in him. I am personally disappointed in him. You make such allegations against an administration. You have the benefit, and that is why I'm so happy that a group of young men have taken a particular petition to him to investigate a matter involving the EO group and President Mahama, based on an article that he himself wrote. And I'm so happy. I want to welcome that particular petition. I am daring Martin Amidu, and let it be on record, that within the next 2 months, he must come out with the investigative report on the EO group and the alleged $13 million. He, I can tell you, will come out with his face bloodied.
Okay,
absolutely
we'll have to move on
because
to the next topic.
The fight against corruption, and I always tell people, when Nkrumah was there, J.B. Dankwa wrote a letter to him and said, look, I've heard of the several instances of corruption against your administration, food coupons and all of, those they do food rationing and other. The processes were fraught with corruption. You should take it out. Then the Buzi administration came. What happened to the Buzi administration? Then the almighty PNDC administration came. By the time Jerry Rawlings was leaving office in 2000, the campaign promises of the NPP included corruption against the Jerry Rawlings administration. True or false? By the time Kufuor was leaving office, the allegation included corruption. Then the last NDC administration. There's a critical issue about the fight against corruption that we are not all addressing. And that is our biggest hypocrisy. What is the media response to the 275 buses purchased or whatever by Mr. Freddie Wesema-Ablay? What has been the media response? The man is the board chair of GMPC, the nation's company that manages our oil.
I think we're now deviating from the issue because we're talking about the resources.
It's about the corruption bit. But what I want you to note is that this whole business about fighting corruption is a convenient thing for political ends, without more.
Okay. So we'll just move to the next topic, which is in the Daily Graphic. Take over GFA assets. High Court orders Registrar General. So the Commercial Division of the Accra High Court has appointed the Registrar of Companies, which is the Registrar General, Miss Jemima Owari would be taking charge of the assets until determination of a petition by the government to liquidate the GFA. Let's get your initial...
I believe it's much ado about nothing. This administration is so confused. The president of the republic, I mean, he doesn't even know what he's about.
No, can we focus on the
I'm
move?
Coming there because
so this
is an initiative. First,
this is a very good initiative.
When this matter happened, the first thing the president did was to call for an investigation by who? The police. Have you seen the reports from the police?
Not yet.
So on what basis is government proceeding against the GFA?
So your problem is not seeing the report from the police.
The GFA is supposed to be an association of football clubs, true or false?
Yes.
The football club has a president, okay? The president is alleged to have engaged in an act of wrongdoing. The police are to investigate. Without an investigative report, you take this step against the entity. The last time I checked...
all the heads of the entities are... It's not just the president, right?
No. What I'm saying is that the step taken by the president through the Attorney General to have this liquidation, you liquidate where the company is deemed to have become a vehicle for the commission of crime, okay, or some wrongdoing. The GFA was never. If an officer, like CTFM, an officer of CTFM conducts himself wrongly.
Oh, but it wasn't just one individual in GFA.
No.
When you look at the investigation...
The people save Mr. What's the name? Nyantechi. The rest were referees and what have you.
No, there were some other GFA
There were other
like who?
No, there was, I think, was it the...
Sanidara is not, quote unquote, that kind of person that you say his act become the act of the company. Remember, GFA is a company limited by guarantee. And that is why the Registrar General today has been made the manager or something to manage the affairs of GFA until when. I am saying that there was no basis at all for this intervention from government. An association, when this matter comes in, can reconstitute, remove the president, put somebody there to manage the affairs of the entity. Most of the things that at least we saw in the announced expose were matters that Mr. Nyantechi wanted to do by himself and not any other person. So to say that the whole GFA, government intervention is completely needless. And I still stand by it. That it was knee-jerk, it was just an attempt because the president's name came up in the expose.
I think that's a
to
stretch.
find some way out.
I think that's a bit of a stretch.
And this has always been my position on this GFA matter, right from the word go. When the president asked the CID to investigate the man, the next one was to bring NDC in, another one to do everything shambolic. Where we are today is this whole intervention from the court. Now the Registrar General, what is he going to really do? What is he going to really do? Look, Mr. President, with the greatest respect to the office you occupy, don't joke with our football. It's the passion of the nation. When you are mismanaging the economy, the only consolation that we have...
the association has been mismanaged, right? Based on the investigation Anas did. All the way from the bottom to the from the referees to the top.
I disagree.
So you can't just say it's just Nyantechi.
No, Mr. Malady, as we speak, there's no evidence.
Okay, sorry.
The president has asked for the investigation to be done. Is there any conclusive report?
Not
sorry,
yet,
beyond the president, okay,
you understand?
You are denying that. Godwin, you're
yes.
denying that Sanidara, you don't consider him an official so-called of the GFA, even though he's the communications director. There's also Kofi Menu, who is the vice chairman of the Player Status Committee of GFA. There's also, of course, Lee Adi, who is a Liana Adi, who is a match commissioner and GFA executive committee member. There's Umar Teni, who is a member of the GFA referees appointment committee. And the list goes on. There are about 12 names here who are officials of the GFA.
That's the point I'm making. That at this point, we are being told of investigation ongoing. True of us. Do we have any conclusive report from any of the investigative agencies of state that we have established A, B, C, D against this. In any case, assuming that there is even evidence of commission of crime, it remains suspicion until a court of competent jurisdiction has convicted these individuals for having committed this offense. Has that thing happened? No. No such thing had happened. Has 980 been put before any court of law? Charges preferred against him, even at this point? No. Has Mr. Sani Dara appeared before any court, charged with any commission of any offense? No. So I am saying that the intervention taken today is premature, completely.
Okay. Okay. Then I think your comments are solid on that. Anyway, so thank you very much. We have a few messages that we should read. Let me see a few of them you may have to respond to. So let's see. Dr. Abedi from Kwadaso says, good morning. Thank God President Akufo-Addo has sworn in a 9-member governing board to oversee the work of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. People may think that the Special Prosecutor's Office is delaying in prosecuting corrupt officials, only that the slow movement of a lion is calculated accuracy. They should stay tuned, and well, that's his message. And Pa Joe also says, may God help the Special Prosecutor Board to bring sanity into the corrupt system. So none of our prophets saw this coming. In order to avert it through prayer, or it eluded them, may the soul of J.H. Mensah rest in perfect peace. Senyo Hobenu says, the Special Prosecutor's staff is overhyped. It may amount to nothing. I think he's in support of your position. So the messages go on and on. We'll read them from well, as time goes on. Okay, and let me just read this one before we go on. Okay, it's quite long. I'll just shorten it and come back. Anyway, so still Breakfast Daily. Thank you so very much, Godwin Edudzie Tamakloe, for coming. I'll take your final comments before we wrap up on this segment.
I just saw a news item on cityfmonline.com.
Citynewsroom.com.
Yeah. And the heading is, we will repeal nuisance taxes. Dr. Baumia, 10th June 2016. I'm sure somebody should be reading out this particular news item to him today. That governance is not fanciful lectures. I'm expecting Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, quote, as a distinguished lecturer, to mount the podium again at the Central University to tell us the fundamentals of this economy 18 months down the line. If you speak to members of GUTA, they will tell you their profitability margins are being taken away by reason of the rapid depreciation of the cedi. These are the critical matters, the bread and butter matters, that matter to the people of this country. Obviously, like you indicated, with new taxes, if you increase VAT to 21.5%, your usual core card that you buy, you know you pay VAT on it, is going to go up. The usual breakfast that you take as Starbite, you're going to increase. That cost will be passed on to you and I, and the effect, it goes down to the last person in this country. Let this administration not joke. These are critical matters. Let us be consistent. The truth, I always say, is one. The nature of this Ghanaian economy, you don't need a magic wand like Okonkwo-Anoje's Bodua. Then you go and then you conjure. The words you use in criticizing your opponent will be used against you. Now the NPP is having to face, like I said, Baumia, 10th June 2016, City FM Online will repeal nuisance taxes. What has happened to it 18 months the line? Introduction of new ones.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Godwin Edudzie Tamakloe. Now, keep your messages coming through with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Of course, the WhatsApp line.
0550-585-832. Up next, we're going to learn about a man who wears many hats. He's the CEO of GIPC, but today we're going to talk about his other interest, which is art. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
They say, why you they love them like this? Oh, I don't know. Hi, everyone. It's Miss V. Make sure you keep watching Breakfast Daily on City TV. Don't go anywhere. Tiptoe. Swag.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on City TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Stella Madonu on City TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Spend 30 minutes every weekday catching up with all the trending social media conversations of the day. If you tweet it, we'll read it. We might just even Skype you.
Just, no matter your situation, you can rise to the top.
Absolutely.
You really
and
can.
It's interesting that he wrote this article on the 17th of June, and on the 18th of June, yesterday, he actually scored 2 goals in the Belgium World Cup meet.
30 minutes is all it takes, so use the hashtag 30minutes on social media to catch our attention. Join the most interactive social media TV show weekdays at 5 p.m. only on City TV.
Jealousy go shame against the bad boy. Jealousy go shame. Whoa. What's up, guys? Your boy Kitty, and right now you are watching Breakfast Daily. Oh, Lord of mercy. Let us go.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guest, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
What one action have you taken? What one statement have you issued?
Well, we've been issuing statements, even this...
on the specific issue of...
This very one.
Of no bed syndrome. Since you are saying that you've heard this before.
Well, we keep talking.
The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on City TV. The 2018 World Cup in Russia is here, and City TV is the best place to get your fix of all things World Cup. Tune in to World Cup Daily for all the latest news, reviews, and analysis as the 32 qualified teams fight for the biggest prize in world football.
They are a bit too flamboyant, and that's where the Belgians will take advantage of. Belgium also have the fresh legs. They rested their big guys in the game against England. So the likes of De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku, they are all returning into this game fresh. And they look like a team on a mission. They look like a different team.
It's World Cup Daily, live every weekday from 1 to 2 p.m. on City TV.
Good morning, Ghana. Good morning, world. You're in tune to the Breakfast Daily on City TV. Stoneboy says so. Keep it locked. Don't log off. Beep.
Every Thursday night on City TV, you're welcome to join women from different backgrounds and opinions as they weigh in on your relationship issues. Watch Sister Sister as the ladies get real with issues about love, marriage, betrayal, sex, dating, trust, finances, and more.
Sometimes some of the guys are like, oh no, they want to wait before they get married.
So there are little questions.
Oh, I'm saying, hold on, lady. What if she does, or they kiss and all of that?
And do nothing.
That's it.
If he really wants you like that.
You see, so it's like,
Join Jessica and her sisters for City TV's all-women talk show, Sister Sister, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Also, live on 97.3 City FM.
Took what friend young, yeah. Every number a day would day me there is none like you. Oh, nam ye never go promote yourself more way. Father, who at all shall we compare to you? I took what friend young, yeah. Every number a day would there is none like you. Oh, nam ye never go promote yourself more way. Father, who at all shall we compare to you? Oh, nobody there, nobody there, nobody there, nobody there like you. Nobody there, nobody there, nobody there, nobody there like you, like you. Nobody there. I am here for you, I could not for one Jehovah Rapha, the sweet now of Mara. On t'a fait de tout de Gunyamie, on got a train and don't cut a Father, who and all shall we worship but you? I am here for Yamie, Ekuna for one, Jehovah Rapha, the sweet now of Mara. On t'a fait de tout de Gunyamie. I got a train and don't cut a Father, who and all shall we worship but you? Nobody there, nobody there, nobody there, nobody there like you, like you. Nobody there, nobody there, nobody there, nobody there like you, like you. Through the jungle and the sea, throughout all eternity, will be this through the jungle and the sea, throughout all eternity, will be nobody there, nobody there, nobody there, nobody there like you, like you. Nobody there, nobody there, nobody there, nobody there like you, like you. Through the jungle and the sea, throughout all eternity, will be just so nobody there.
Corporate.
Through the jungle and the sea, through all eternity, will be just so. Through the jungle and the see throughout all eternity will be undeserved. Nobody there, nobody there, nobody there, nobody there like you, like you. Oh, oh, oh. Through the jungle and the sea, throughout all eternity of yours is through the jungle and the sea, through all eternity of yours is I took off bring him here.
There's certainly no one like God. And today we are going to learn a lot about a man most of you know as the CEO of GIPC, that's the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Yofi Grant is an investment banker with 30 years industry experience with a broad knowledge of the African markets. He served as the executive director of Data Bank Private Equity Limited between 2011 and 2012, as well as the executive director, business development of the data group from 2009 to 2010. He was the transactional leader in the execution of a number of dealings, including the capital raising for Intercontinental Bank, the recapitalization of Fidelity Bank Ghana, and also served as the lead manager for a number of world brokers transactions. Now, he's going to tell us all about that side of him, but that's not the reason why we have him here today. There's a whole side of this man that most of you do not even know of. He's an artist, a photographer at that. So we're going to learn a bit about that side of him. Good morning, Yofi Grant.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, very good.
Thank you so
actually.
much for being here on a Friday.
I'm most grateful for coming here, for inviting me. I'm very grateful.
Now, how do you go from finance to the creative sector? Now, tell us a bit about your interest in the financial sector.
Well, first of all, I think finance is just a vehicle for enablement and helping people, enabling them to achieve their aspirations, their business aspirations, but also life. I mean, if you don't have money, then living a comfortable life gets very difficult. And if you want to do a business, then you must be funded somehow. And if you have problems in your business, you need solutions. So that's where my interest in finance lies. And I credit a lot of people for my direction to finance, considering that I never really sat in a finance class or in a quant class before getting to finance. I started with banking, corporate banking, under the leadership of Mr. Faridonko, who I do credit a significant amount of Ghana's, financial reforms too, because he stepped out and brought the private sector into finance and banking. In those days, there was only the state-owned banks that existed. But he came out as CDH, SDC, a number of, what should I call them, brokerage houses and financial institutions. And then, of course, Cal Bank. In those days, it was Continental Acceptances. And I was Frankie Du and myself, the kind were the first two employees.
How was that experience like?
It was the fastest learning, trip I had in my life.
Wow.
Because one thing I credited Mr. Faridonko for was that he didn't take prisoners. You either had to go up or get out. And so he forced us to learn and learn hard and got to know our craft, but he insisted on excellence. He always used to say that you should seek perfection, because it's in seeking perfection that you get excellent. You will never achieve it, but you get there. And so, it was good. But he also had a sense of style. He felt that you should do things in a nice, happy way, and you should be comfortable doing it. So I remember in those days, we were probably one of the first institutions that you had to wear a suit to work.
Wow.
Financial institution. Okay. One of the first. And the others, they just wore a tie. In those days, the banks, they wear a shirt and a tie. But
why was it important to wear a suit?
Because he just felt it reflected the nature of the industry in which you are globally. And that's true. I mean, everywhere you go to, bankers wear suits, like lawyers. You find the men in suit. When you see a man in suit walking the city, you know he's either a lawyer or a finance guy or a banker.
Now, tell us briefly how you ended up at GIPC from your early days. You've touched on it a bit.
Yes, okay. Let's say my formal career.
My
formal career has almost always been in finance or the financial sector. Actually, whilst I was doing my postgraduate program in Legon and I finished the first part, we had to employ the two of us then doing the course. Were employed at Bank of Ghana to do a job analysis. But we left, and then I left for some strange circumstance. They didn't think they needed us to do that, so we left. But I went into private sector almost immediately. And I worked with an old industrialist financier to set up a number of forex bureaus, which I ran. Until, you know, I was convinced by Mr. Fred Owari, now chairman of the Bui project, that he thought I had a career in banking. So not long after, then I joined Mr. Faridonko at Carl Bank. Then it was Continental Acceptances Limited. And then the rest is history. I went there. I was there for a couple of years, and then, of course, in '96, I left to join my very good friend Ken Ofreata and Kelly Gajikwa Data Bank. I mean, for Ken, Kelly, and myself, it's been a 45-year relationship. Wow. Since primary school, we've been friends, very good friends. So it was like a matter of course to be in Data Bank. And Data Bank was amazing because it gave us we were confident, we were bold, we thought we should do things that the market didn't have or didn't know about. And so we pushed the envelope. We kept pushing the envelope and doing a lot of groundbreaking transactions and stuff. So, yeah, after reaching a certain ripe age of 50, we decided that once we got to 50, then we had to retire and give space to new blood, I mean, stronger aggression, etc. So, a few years after that, after I turned 50, in 2012, I retired.
Wow.
Ken retired, I think, a year before. And then Kelly also retired not too long ago, a couple of years after. And so here we are. I think that working with government is a great experience because you see clearly beyond your interest. Yeah. You see the interest of other people. And trust me, they are diverse and very often conflicting. You know, and it's like you can't satisfy one constituency. You have to satisfy everybody, and satisfying everybody who have different needs and wants, etc. It's an interesting challenge, but for me, it's an opportunity. It's just simply an opportunity to serve.
Okay. What has been some of your highlights so far?
At GIPC?
Yes.
There have been many highlights. I mean, first of all, carrying the firm with me. I guess it's been a bit of a challenge because they were used to things happening differently, and I am a bit more aggressive with the stuff that I want to do. I think we can achieve it, and I think the boundaries are limitless so far as you put your mind to it. So, and it takes people a while to be able to creep up to that, because if you've been in the public service for so long, and that was not the medium in which you expressed your drive, then it becomes difficult. Yeah. But I'm happy to say, I think they've picked up pretty well. People are enthusiastic if you give them the space and the chance and you motivate them together. So I am convinced beyond doubt that maybe in a year, or a year and a half, we'll see a more aggressive, more prepared and more placed GIPC to run its mandate.
Nice.
I'm very pleased with that.
Now let's talk about your other hat. When you think of bankers, this
hat?
Yeah, this hat. When you think of bankers, though, you think of people who don't have time for anything. They just look at Excel spreadsheets all day, numbers.
Well, so it seems.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. How did you develop an interest in art? Have you always been a creative?
Yes, I have been. Indeed. I mean, from primary school, I just started drawing things because it was a way of recording stuff. When I was young, very young, in primary school, right through to secondary school. I was a very introverted person. I was very
Really?
quiet. Yeah, I used to just spend my time either drawing, and draw anything, or just observing stuff. You know, I just had a very keen interest. You know, and I think that came out of the fact that I started school. I mean, at very early ages outside Ghana. My father was a career diplomat, so I started school outside Ghana, and it was a totally different way of teaching. I mean, pedagogy was totally different. So I remember that the first day I went to school, in class 1 or whatever it was, for a year and a half, it was nothing to do with learning as we see it in Ghana. It was all a lot of play, putting things together. And I believe it was because at that age they were teaching us how to conceptualize. How do you build a house? How do you put blocks together? What does it mean? Does this block fit with that block? You know, so it was a lot of play, and playing also helped us get to work with people, because you always had to work in groups, and you know, and stuff like that. So it was interesting. So I developed a keen sense of observation from there, but I think art expresses humanity.
What do you mean by that?
From the, you know, beyond the cognitive and the emotional bits, and it's all expressed in art. But there are many components of art. The things we see, the things we do, the things we eat, it's all art. Art is the very essence of our emotions, and expressing them outwardly. You see that in art. And I developed a very keen sense, a keen interest in photography.
Why photography? So how did you go from drawing to taking pictures?
Well, if I didn't have to draw, I could photograph. Why not? It was like easier, more efficient.
So you weren't that great at the drawing bit?
Oh no, I think I was. I was actually.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Look, to the point that before I even got to Form 1, I could draw a whole comic book all by myself.
Wow.
And write in all the things. Okay. But I was a very shy person, so I'll do all these things, and I wouldn't take them anywhere. I'll keep them to myself.
Why?
Because sometimes I just feel that, so what if I took it out and people thought it wasn't good enough?
But did you care what they thought?
At that age, yes, you did care.
Okay.
Because those are the formative years, and you want acceptance. You know, everybody wants to think that, oh, okay, I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me. I do everything like everybody else, and everybody accepts the things I do. Even at this age, we're all looking for acceptance one way or the other. So at that age, it was very important, because that's what forms character.
Yeah.
But I'm also happy to say that right off the bat, from my young days, I mean, when I came back to Ghana, I was brought back to Ghana, I went straight into boarding school.
Oh, how was that experience like?
It was interesting. It was interesting. For a lot of people at the age of 8, 9, being taken to boarding school, you know, first time of your awareness in this country, it was a bit strange, you know, coming straight from Switzerland into the boarding school in Kumasi. You know, but it was.
I hope you had hot baths and not have to take a bucket to fetch water.
It was super hot baths. You know, super hot. That was almost as bad as having an icy cold bath. But you know, you grow. But it taught me a lot of lessons. It helped me, you know, accommodate other people's views, and other people accommodate my views. And I made some great friends who have remained friends for life. Like
when
Dr.
did you
Robert
learn to
Kumoji
take
and
pictures?
Was
it in boarding school?
Yes, in my days in secondary school, Achimota School. That's when my interest in photography actually came about. I remember we had an old photographer who was like the school's official and unofficial photographer, Mr. Agri. And he had a bike, and he would come with his camera. And Mr. Agri was a very important man.
Really?
Well, today we don't realize how important he was, in the sense that he was recording history.
Yeah.
I mean, many of us, my classmates, a lot of the pictures we have, which further cements our associations and our friendships, is the pictures we took when we were from 1, from 2, from 3, from 4, right through secondary school. And I'm sure as you're here, we're all here in the studio, and people even watching. I'm sure every now and then, when they look back and see their pictures they took 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it triggers a certain sense of thinking, oh, what was I like then? Yeah. What happened that took that picture? But it's also recording history. The moments, the emotions, you know, the feelings. And that's what I said, art is an outward expression of your emotions, you know. Even singing, people sing because of emotional issues. They raise and it attains people, you know. So even having a way of projecting your feelings It's a way of also uplifting other people for the feelings you have, to push it outward through some medium, singing, art, etc., which people see and are happy with. It's a way in which you make humanity and the world happy.
Okay, so how did you get from being inspired by Mr. Agre to actually...
Right, you did ask that question and
yes,
I moved on.
being him,
You know, I think my job right now is like I'm paid to talk. So I'm always talking. I know I don't think he's watching this. My very good friend Ken Oferiata always says, please don't give Yofi the chance to talk. Because
he'll talk you to sleep.
You talk you, not to sleep, you talk you and get you sell what you have onto to yourself. So, you know, I used to be curious, you know, because then I just like the way that things could be recorded by Mr. Agre's camera. You know.
How difficult was it to get a camera back then?
Oh, it was absolutely difficult. I remember trying to convince my parents that I needed a camera. And this is for what? What do you need a camera? You don't need a camera. You want a camera. Which was also true. At that point, I wanted a camera. So, I mean, looking back, I don't even remember when I got my first camera.
Wow, I thought you were going to say, like, maybe Mr. Agre allowed you borrow his camera for a couple of
Absolutely not. Mr. Agre's camera was pure commercial. He was making money as young people.
So you can take your pictures and you have to pay.
You pay for it. Oh, yeah. Yes. You know, in those days, we didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have telephones, etc. So if you like some chick or something, you know,
just get Mr. Agre to
photograph was a very good way of communicating it. You go and take some picture and, you know, pose or and then go and give it to the girl or the guy. You know, when I look back and I see some of the pictures, I say, oh my God. I remember I had a picture with one of my classmates. In those days, I was as thin as half a pin.
You're kidding.
Oh, I was thin and I had this afro like this that weighed more than my body weight. And, you know, I remember we took that picture. And recently I saw the picture. I said, yay.
What happened?
Oh, God has been good to me.
Why?
That I changed from those days. And those days the fashion was, you know, was bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, you had all these big funny colors and, you know, you wear all these flowered singlets
cool
and
kids.
you thought, yeah, you were the cool kids, but meanwhile you're nothing.
So when did you go from photography?
Let me finish about that picture.
Hey, okay.
If you see the bar of the trousers we're wearing, I'm sure today could have sewn a suit. The bar alone could have sewn a suit. But you know, it takes you back. It recorded the fashion of the day.
Yeah.
It's all history. You know. So I guess that's what really sort of grabbed my imagination in photography. But I also thought that you could take events, you could take pictures, you could take things that are interesting. And that's what really ignited my interest in photography. The fact that you could take interesting things and record interesting things. So I think somewhere in university, that's when I got my first camera. I'm not even sure how I got it, but and I started, you know, photographing stuff, everything, people, events.
I think you were at Chalawote, actually. We have a picture of you here, taking, doing what you do best at the Chalawote.
Actually, I keep saying that photography...
Look at the cameras that you have. So it's not, I don't think it's just a hobby for you. Do you actually invest a lot of time and resources?
Absolutely.
In
photography, at least these days, is much cheaper.
Yeah.
Because
but at what stage in your life did you say, okay, this isn't just a hobby, I'm actually going to invest in this interest that I have? Well,
it's still very much a hobby because I haven't yet commercialized it, you know. And so I'm still perfecting the art. I don't think there's anything perfect in photography. The only perfection in photography is what you record, what it means. And so you hear, you know, you hear of all these big, great photographers, Anna Leibowitz and all these people. And the technique, they develop the technique as they go along. I realized, I didn't even know I had a technique till it was 2 or 3 years ago. I was in Germany with one of my best pals called Frank Dupuy. It was my business partner. And so we went to Taschen. Taschen probably publishes, the biggest publisher of coffee table books and photo books. And so I showed, there was this person, I showed them a couple of my pictures. And she kept talking of your technique. I said, what's she talking about? I don't know, have any technique. I just look at what I just look at something and I immediately capture it. And she said, you have a knack for capturing like moods and emotions. Because even when I take still photographs of buildings, it's like I take it in a strange way, like an observation, instead of just looking at it as artistically beautiful. It always has a feeling attached to it. So, you know, those are the very interesting things that one gets from photography. I didn't know I had a technique or anything. But since then, I've been investing in photography because I always think that, well, I mean, to really get the best out of it, you need the equipment. Yeah. So I don't drink, I don't spend a lot of money, I save a lot. When I save, I buy photography equipment. So those are my real precious things. I mean, I'll probably buy a camera before I buy a piece of land.
Wow.
Oh, yes, because it's important. Because the 2 pictures I make, I sell out there, can buy 5 plots of land. You know, recently I sold a picture to a friend of mine for $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, as a picture.
That's impressive. Now, speaking of your techniques, can you tell us about these 3, should I say, portraits? What inspired them? Starting with the first one of the
first one, I took this at Hogbe Chocho, I believe, if I remember right.
Okay,
and it was, I just liked the smile and the involvement in the whole festival. Their whole character was in it, from the dancing. There's many others that are even more interesting.
Really?
The dancing, the old people, the looks on their faces, the emotions. The look on her face tells you the natural, real joy. It's not a forced smile. She didn't even know I was taking the picture. The camera just met her. And you know, the funny thing about photography is, you can take 1 million pictures. Only 3 will be good or will really be great.
Really?
People think that when you see a photographer, he says, oh, take me, you go and pose. Click. That's the best picture I can take of you. No. He could probably capture you in a more unassuming, natural pose. That would be your greatest look.
Wow.
You know, and so that also sometimes makes it expensive because you have to keep trying. Photography, technically, is like how architecture is the use of space. Photography is the use of light. It's purely the use of light to capture or freeze an image or a moment or a feeling or something. That's what photography is. So this, I mean, over here, this lady, I just caught her at the right time. Something must have overjoyed her. Because like she's finished laughing.
Or maybe she saw you. Maybe you had a smile on your face too.
No, she couldn't have. I took it from a long distance. I used it to, you know.
It looks as though she's looking directly at me.
That's why I said the camera just caught the smile and I said,
and that was it.
Shoot. So a lot of photography is very opportunistic. You know, the
right moment.
The right moment, you just grab that image, you know. And my kids have suffered it all their lives. I'm proud they're the most photographed children of them because I've used them to learn.
To practice
everything and to record their lives. I have pictures of them from the hour now after they were born till today. They don't even know that.
Now, speaking of kids.
And then this guy, let me finish with this guy here.
Okay, I was going to
come
back to him,
at one of the Ojures it was at Chebi. You know, and there's something very interesting about this picture because the guy's look, in one way, conflicts with what he's supposed to be.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be an executioner.
There's this innocence,
but there's a lot of innocence in his eyes, and even the way he just stood there
and he looks very peaceful.
Exactly. Now this was when he was not acting the bit. So I caught him when he was not acting the bit, and it just tells you about human beings. That even with the hardest of intentions, there's still a soft person behind it.
Wow.
Now, this young girl, looking...
I don't know if she's playing.
Yeah, like she's playing. She's not even excited. She's totally carefree. Was at the Depot Festival in Somanya.
Wow.
I tried to catalog Depot over the years. So I have some great videos. I have great pictures of Depot.
Why Depot? Why?
It's a rite of passage. And I realized, and now I got interested in depots. I was reading an article in the magazine, and I was thinking of how different cultures have formed their characters and stuff. And I was thinking, gee, in Ghana, do we have any such thing? You know, in the US, you have the debutante thing, you know, where they bring all these ladies in, which is very much the collateral in Ghana is Depot, and many others like Depot. So I said, well, Depot seems to be an interesting event, rite of passage festival or event. So okay, let me see what I can do. I started looking for pictures of Depot, etc., and I couldn't find enough. Wow. So I said, okay, let me go out there. I contacted the chief. We had engagements, and he says, okay, when the time is up, I'll give you a call. Come over. Because what I intend to do too is someday write a book on Depot.
You should.
A photo book on Depot.
It's important.
So that people understand it. I mean, and I remember, I'll tell you something very interesting. One of the pictures that I took, I actually put it on Facebook. And I had all sorts of comments. People say, this is outmoded, is barbaric, is obscene.
You're kidding.
Oh yeah, it's obscene. I said,
but it's
guys,
culture.
I said, guys, wake up, it's culture. This is why, but they have naked young girls. Would I put my daughters to do that? I'm saying, gosh, we in religion, etc., we do other rituals. It says ritualistic. And I said, rituals are part of humanity. Everywhere. We have things that are ritualistic. Over here, we think that ritual must be something spiritual, some unseen, jujurific stuff. But a ritual, very often, it's some activity that is based on something cultural or has a certain understanding through it. And people who are not Christian or stuff, we think that communion, the Holy Communion, is a ritual.
Also a ritual, yeah.
Where you're talking of the spirit or the body of Christ being the bread and the blood of Christ being the wine.
Yeah.
People will say it's ritualistic, but it's okay. It's all right. You can have a ritual. So this is actually the chief's daughter.
Wow.
So they wear all these interesting garbs, and she has this heavy bit that of different cloths and lots of beads.
Yes.
But another interest for me in the Depot thing was the use of beads.
Why?
I'm very, very interested in beads, as you notice. I mean, I wear beads all the time.
Yes.
I remember once I had these beads on at an official meeting, and I just noticed the president's eye go on the beads. And I could imagine, he was wondering, is this acceptable or not? That's what I thought. I've never asked him. Aww. But, he's never commented on it because it's part of our culture. And for me, this also represents my ethnocentrism. I have a very African bit, although a lot of people think that, oh no, you are so cosmopolitan.
Yeah, you're always in suits.
Yes, or this or that. This stays with me, or the suit I take off. The beads are always there.
Always there.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Because they represent a part of our history, a part of our past, and interestingly, it's become very African, and in fact Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Beads, wearing beads. I started wearing these beads long ago when I was in Databag.
Wow.
No, in those days, very few men wore beads around their wrists, and everybody asked me, what is this thing that you wear? And are you a fetish priest or are you a chief? Because our chiefs ordinarily wore beads. So are you a chief? And I said, not even in my bedroom.
Okay.
I wear that because of my Afrocentrism. It's very African. But funnily enough, the history tells us that beads, the use of beads is not native to us as a people. Most of the earlier beads that we saw were brought by the Spanish, the Italians, the Portuguese to trade with. But we accepted them, we took them, and they become very much a part of us.
Yeah.
It's interesting, instructive that, we have a place that actually celebrates beads at Osu, the Ghana Bead Society.
Yes.
They do great stuff.
Yeah.
They have great stuff. The sad part for me, well, it's not a sad part. The curious thing for me is a lot of the sponsors and patrons of that are expatriates.
Yeah. Well, it's sad, isn't it?
It's not sad. I mean, look, I've gotten to the point in life because I've traveled so often and so much. Well, since I was a child, I've been traveling. As an investment banker, I was always traveling. And then, funny enough, I've gone to a job that even has more travel. I've learned that people, no matter where, are basically the same. Yeah. We have the same needs, we have the same problems and everything. So, it doesn't make any difference to me whether it's being run by a white or a black or a purple or a green person. What is important is that people get the job done, and people generally everywhere would benefit.
Yeah.
Everywhere would benefit. And the history of the world is replete with people crossing boundaries to influence. Yeah. I mean, the first universities in the world were where? In Africa, in Egypt. The oldest university in the world, I think, is still in Africa.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up now. I wish we could continue forever. But I want to tie everything in. I think a couple of months ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were discussing how, as Ghanaians move up, whether it's the career ladder or financial ladder, they tend to neglect all things cultural, right? And here we have a man who, you've done it all. You've been in banking, you're now head of GIPC, but we even look at your work, and it's still very much grounded in our culture, our identity, our heritage. How important is all of this when we look at developing ourselves as a people, defining our identity and the
I
nation
think
as a
it is very important, because to carve your path going forward, you need to know where you're coming from. You need to understand why our forefathers and our people did stuff as they are. But apart from that, like I said, the arts and culture really represent our true inner selves. I mean, look at people dancing at Doha. It's probably one of the most graceful dances you can have, but it is moved by aggressive drumming, and it tells you that we are very cool people, but when pushed to the wall, we can, and we can mix the two very comfortably and have a nice concert that blends what is aggressive, dynamic, with what is somber, peaceful, and graceful. I think those are the things that are important to us. We need to understand that to understand who we are. I also think that urbanization, rapid urbanization, removes deep introspection from people. People just say, oh, I need to have a house, I need to have a car. They don't even ask themselves, why? What's the true whys of why I need these things? Is it because of me? Is it because of my children? Is it because of my community? Is it because of my society? I think the true heroes of our communities are those who retain the culture and express it in a dynamic way. Culture is dynamic. It doesn't have to be the same way we did it years ago, but we can add an element to it. And even more important to this is that you can commercialize it. It's an industry. Film is an industry. Look, I sit back and I think how in our early days, in our young days, watching American movies, watching Chinese movies, formed opinions about people. The issue of the protagonist and the antagonist in the American movie.
Jack and Killer.
The Jack and the Killer, the blow man. Was ways in which our minds were being moved to think, look, let me tell you something. Before I went to China the first time, 20-something years ago, I always thought that Chinese people, you go to China, you see little men in pajamas kind of stuff. I went to China and I was
Jet Li.
or Jet Li, And I went to China, I said, what? And I've been going to China since. Shanghai is one of my favorite cities in the world. It's the most urbanized, probably one of the most developed cities in the world. The infrastructure is amazing, and the infrastructure is changing the people into modernity. They don't accept, oh, this is here. They accept what is it in 10 years and play along it, But they still have the culture there. The Chinese people will learn to speak Chinese at all costs. You can't be a Chinese child and not speak Chinese. Over here, today we bring up our kids and all they speak is English. They don't speak Twi, they don't speak Fanti, and all these languages have a certain beauty in their own way. Yesterday I was telling a friend of mine that my next project is to speak Hausa.
Wow.
I'm trying to learn Mandarin, and I'll try and learn Hausa as well. Because I think Hausa is melodious, it is sexy, it is, it is also commanding. It looks like a royal language.
Yes, it is.
At the same time, ever is testing.
Really?
It is testing because it tests your ability to swing between waves of, intonations. And, it's interesting. Ga is causing bubbly. Fanti is fluid and sexy, as people say.
As people say.
Twi is a commanding language. It is very direct. And, some of the funniest things I hear. Yesterday I was watching, not yesterday, 2 days ago as I was driving home, I started to listen to the World Cup commentary in Twi. Oh gosh.
Let's not even
It was
go
more
there.
of comedy than the soccer.
Yeah.
I loved it. The commentators
And the drama.
When the commentator said, Aqua Wepa. I mean, as if you knew the guy. But it was just funny. But that's all culture, retaining your culture.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much our kids in the future will miss if they don't even speak their own traditional languages?
Yeah.
And the thing is, we have it here. I mean, look, yesterday I saw this hat and I just said, wow, I just have to have it. Very creative, very innovative. It encompasses a bit of our culture. In fact, a lot of our culture with a modern thing of hats. People wearing hats all over.
Speaking of hats,
yes,
we do have to end the conversation.
Absolutely,
here.
sometime or the other.
I wish we could continue, and I hope you come back, because I think you've mentioned some things I would want to discuss.
I will tell you something. I mean, I just listened to the chap playing the guitar, and I was wondering, does he have a producer?
I don't know.
Because his music was so good that I think that somebody needs to capture what he's doing.
Definitely.
You know, and put it out and make him some money. And
so we'll talk about that, monetizing our talent. Because
absolutely.
I think my co-host and I were discussing that earlier on in the show about having really talented people in this country and us not deliberately patronizing their
No, we
work.
shouldn't. And we shouldn't scream and cry our heads off when we see our local fabric being made into dresses that are being sold in Harrods for £5,000, etc. The opportunity has been there. We haven't taken it. If somebody's taken and used our cultural stuff, we should be very happy for it.
Okay. Our Yofi Grant, thank you so much for sharing a bit of your life with us.
Thank you, Jiffa.
Thank you. Wilberforce, we'll take a quick break. I know you guys have some questions for Yofi, but hopefully I can ask him later on and get them to you. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Good morning, Ghana. Good morning, world. You're in tune to the Breakfast Daily on City TV. Stoneboy says so. Keep it locked. Don't log off. Beep.
They say, why you they love 'em like this? Oh, I don't know. Hi, everyone. It's Miss V. Make sure you keep watching Breakfast Daily on City TV. Don't go anywhere. Tiptoe. Swag.
Jealousy go shame against the bad boy. Jealousy go shame. Whoa. What's up, guys? Your boy Kitty, and right now you are watching Breakfast Daily. Oh, Lord of mercy. Let us go.
Hey family, my name is Joe Metal and you're watching Breakfast Daily on City TV. Keep watching, don't go nowhere.
Okay, super interview there between Jiffa and Yofi Grant. I was very, very excited about many of the things he said, and it was very insightful about the issue of the beads not being originally African, but being, imported or being traded initially between the Spanish and the Italians and the like. So very, very interesting interview. Now, we've also been joined by the co-founder of Lead Afrique International, Letitia Ohene-Ifa. Good morning, Letitia. Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I love the chain you have on, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Now, I want you to tell us what exactly is Lead Afrique.
Lead Afrique is a social enterprise, an NGO, that basically focuses on cultivate creative and responsive leaders for Africa. So we want to see a transformed Africa. So we take young people and we groom them in different social skills and leadership skills and make sure that they're living, we provide them with structure and then they live with intentionality and still have a lot of fun. So that's what we do.
Provide them with structure and intentionality and have a lot of fun.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So by young people, what's the age range you're looking at?
Ages 6 to about 20, just before they go to the university. But today you find 4-year-olds who are in year 1. which means that we deal with 4-year-olds as well. We don't have the grace for the much younger ones yet.
Oh, wow.
But we'll develop that grace very soon.
So grade 1 all the way to the university?
Yes, we've had university people attend our programs. We do have corporate programs as well. Leadership cuts across ages. So we have corporate programs, but our key focus, our primary focus is on the young people, so that they begin to inculcate certain principles that they'll grow up with, basically, and becomes a part of them. So that's what we do. So we teach things like self-awareness. We have things like communication, how to deal with your emotions, how to think, because a lot of the time, I understand that by the age we're 35, about 90% of what we do is just automated. It's by habit. So we're
what we've learned between our initial ages up to 20,
our
maybe.
formative ages.
Our formative ages.
So especially up to the age of 7, we have formed a lot of our habits and a lot of our norms, our likes, our dislikes. So we deal with, so even for the camp that we'll talk about in a bit, we deal with the different age groups. So between the ages of 0 and 7 is formative. Between the ages of 7 to 13 is where you call the modeling. So if you have a child within that age, you see that you put your shoe down, they want to wear it. They want to basically do anything and everything that you do.
Okay.
And then after the 13 is really socialization, where if you haven't bonded with them at that stage, what their friends say is more important than what you as a parent say. So then you need to be mindful of the different ages and how to work with them.
Okay, but you also did mention the camp. Tell us more about this particular camp. It's a leadership camp, I believe?
Yes. So it's a leadership and soft skills camp that we have every year. This is our 4th that we're hosting, and it's at the end of July. The last week of every July, we camp. It's more like a retreat for young people. So they've had a whole year of school, an academic year of school. They've gone on vacation. Just before they start the holiday vacation again, we take them on a retreat and we take a topic, we treat the topic, we take them through different activities. Our programs are very child-centered. So it's a lot of activities. We don't do, it's not 1 + 1 is 2. So sometimes we take the most ordinary circumstances. One of the things we learn a lot from, one of our tools is musical chairs. And it's amazing what musical chairs can teach you as a child, as a person, any person. So we take that, it's an ordinary thing, but we use it to break the circuit. So if you've automated certain thought patterns, now it's something that is familiar to you. How do we make it unfamiliar so that you rethink? So you change your thinking pattern, which will change your actions. So those are some of the things that we do. So the first time we talked about who am I, and then we did something on self-confidence. This year we're looking at self-discipline, which is basically one of the critical tools for success that we need.
So who's allowed to come to this particular camp? There are many people watching us right now, who's allowed to come, and how does the person get into this all-important camp?
Anyone from the ages of 6 to the 20 that I mentioned is allowed to come. And I already told you the segmentation. So it's a 3 simultaneous camp in one location.
3 in 1?
Yes. So we have different timetables for the different age groups. And it's the same theme, but we have different activities to make sure that we're using the proper multiple touch points to touch every child. So they can come. And then for you to register, you have to call us, basically 0574 368092. I don't want to forget that.
Okay, I'll have you mention the number again. No, I want you to mention the number. 0574
368092. So that's the number to call to register. If it's busy, please send a text or WhatsApp and we'll get back to you.
Okay, and where is this camp happening?
This time around, we're at the Pentecost Convention Center in Kaswa, but there are buses. Because a lot of our campers come back. We have repeat, about 80% of our campers always come back to camp. Except the school won't allow them in terms of the scheduling, but they always return to camp. Yep. So this time, most of the parents say, take a bus, bus our kids to Kaswa, we'll come and pick them. And we encourage every parent to pick their child, because we have something called the Parents Forum. We believe strongly that you cannot touch a child's life if you do not touch their ecosystem, which is the parents and their teachers. So we have programs for them as well. But what we do with the parents at the end of the camp is that we have observations of each child. So what have we observed about your child this year, during this period? What have we introduced them to? How do you continue? Because if we're creatures of habits, then we only have 6 days with them. So we start a process. And the parent must support them to continue so that it becomes a habit. Otherwise, at some point, there's a forgetting curve and it will set in.
So if it's a good habit, we enforce it. If it's a bad habit you notice in a child, then you try to stop it.
Yes.
And the parents will have to continue this process based on your advice.
Yes.
I think that's very
But
very
we give the power to the child. So we work with the children. So we have very smaller groups. So apart from the facilitator, the largest group we have are the older ones who have like 10 people to what we call a greatness guide. And we go to come 2 days before to train them. So they go through the whole week's sessions and the lessons that we're going to teach the young people, including all the activities. So they experience it themselves within 2 days. And then they can better support the young ones. So as the facilitator is speaking or guiding and taking them through the different activities, the greatness guides are there to ensure that the children are paying attention, that they're focused, that they're tuned in, and they're participating to make sure that everybody benefits from the camp.
Okay. Well, there are many things that we may not notice as parents. So I think this particular, maybe based on our busy schedules or simply because we are not familiar with the territory. So you have been doing this for a while, and I think it's a solid opportunity for parents to even learn more about their own children. So thank you very much for this. I'll take your final comments on anything that we may not have touched on.
I like what you said about not knowing our kids. There's something called mask. We live in two different worlds or multiple worlds at all times. So I may be sitting here with you, but there's something else going inside of you. So when I go into a different environment, I may project a different image than I would project if I were in my office. And the children do that. They're different at home, they're different from school, they're different at church. So if a parent, this is an opportunity to take them outside their comfort zone, and it also helps unleash their creativity. So they become more curious, they're more creative, and then we give them the necessary tools to be courageous to live the truth that they have learnt of themselves as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much also for coming. Letitia Ohene Efa is a co-founder for Lead Afrique, and they're having this all-important camp starting when?
Starts on the 22nd of July to the 28th, but registration closes on the 17th.
Okay, so the phone number one more time?
Is 0574 368092.
Okay. Thank you very much, Letitia.
Thank you,
Breakfast Daily continues. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. For Summons? Someone Summons. Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
We want to have it in your voice.
I'll do that. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Salim. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
bless you. May God bless you now. May God bless you now. May God bless you now. May God bless you now.
Happy birthday, Samantha. Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us.
Yes.
Any social media